We inherited the house in 1969. Visitors do come, they come to see the garden. My special visitors are the bats. The bats are quite a problem when it comes to having functions in the barn. For example, when I set up the teas for one of our garden openings on the bank holiday, and I laid out all the cups and saucers and the sugar and so on, but when I came down the next morning there were poos in all the teacups and the sugar bowl. We've tried everything to try and get rid of them. We built a bat house. Vast expense, and altogether our outlay was £5,800, but the bats have never gone to live in the box. Natural England actually wrote to me and said that the survival of the bats depends on the kind hospitality of people like myself. Well, you wouldn't expect your least favoured guest to come and stay as long as the bats have stayed, let alone to have such filthy habits. To be at the mercy of these bats, it makes me absolutely bloody furious.
We devote our lives 24/7 to bats.
Whoa, good boy!
The bats are housed in mainly 2 rooms. This one, which used to be my son's bedroom. They're also downstairs in the dining room. We have been called to building sites. Those bats must not be disturbed under any circumstances, but mainly it's the householders that can be a bit funny. I don't want bats in my roof. The only way you can remove the bats is if it's a real health issue, and that has got to be proved by a doctor.
If I had my way, I think I would try and smoke them out, and perhaps that would make them move.
If somebody is that determined to go and kill bats, hopefully the people that like bats will keep their eye on the situation. If that person was found to be killing anything, then hopefully she will be prosecuted.
As a house owner, I feel the bats have got a jolly good life. They don't pay any taxes, and they're illegal squatters.
The biggest reason why nothing has been done is because it was found that we have crested newts on the estate.
They turn around and says they can't pull the houses down until they get all these newts sorted out. It's been like this for nearly 3 years now. The estate at the moment is very horrible to live in, and it's just horrendous. When you're coming home, you just don't know what you're coming home to.
People around here are just getting desperate now. The houses are falling down around their ears. They're getting broken into, and if they can't go through the doors, they go through the windows. If they can't go through the windows, they go through the walls.
Now, when this first was mentioned, it was funny. It's not funny anymore.
They're living in fear of their lives because they don't know whether the houses are going to be set fire to, broken into.
My daughter's been attacked and she's had to leave the estate.
The newts are definitely getting preferential treatment because they care about them more than they do the people that are living in here.
Human rights should come before the protection of newts.
If it was up to me, regardless of the newts, I would just bring in the bulldozers and flatten the lot.
I probably shouldn't say this, but there's many residents on this estate with ponds, with crested newts, and they're not saying anything.
I'm sleeping with my windows open front and back, and the slightest little noise I'm up, seeing what it is.
I would say to Natural England, come down, live among all this desolation, and see if he still loves the newts after, say, a month.
The main problem that the newts have got has been the loss of habitat over the past sort of 50 years or so. If people think back to the ponds and the places they used to visit in the youth, they'll recognise that a lot of those places have been developed, and that's caused a massive decline in the population of the great crested newt in particular. If people are waiting to move from perhaps rough estates where there's robberies going on, fires and crime at night, which is actually being committed by people, not by newts, you've got to be prepared to wait till the newts are moved, and the process can take up to 2 years. And it's important to understand this isn't an attack on individuals. It's about the fact that you're lucky enough to have a protected species living and breeding in your garden. Should this species go extinct, then no amount of crocodile tears will ever bring them back. Once they're extinct, they're gone, and they're gone forever.
This building is a block of flats just on the outskirts of central Eastbourne, and we've got gulls nesting up here, and they're basically blocking all the downpipe drains, causing the building to flood. But at the moment we've got 2 chicks on the roof, and we can't do any work really until they've actually flown.
Any builder that are claiming that they have a problem with the gulls, I certainly would say exaggerating, because you are only really talking about 2 to 3 weeks in June when they do have the babies.
If we're going to do some work, we get dive bombed and crapped upon from a great height basically. It's quite dangerous for our guys working in that sort of environment.
You're criticising these gulls because you are going up to their little babies and interfering with the babies. of course they're going to swoop on you. And I think it's absolutely remarkable that they don't attack more than they do.
They're big, their wingspan's 34 inches and their body length is 600 mil, you know? So it's quite a big thing coming at you.
If he's having such a problem, maybe it might be an idea that he starts taking his roofing a little bit inland. And maybe he ought to do something else during the month of June. Why doesn't he go on holiday for those 2 to 3 weeks?
If we've got a problem we need to sort of straight away, we can't, because we need a licence from DEFRA to actually move the nest or move the chicks on. In the meantime, the client is getting flooded out.
Most of these babies are all orphans that have purposefully been knocked off roofs by builders.
In the town, there's probably hundreds of thousands now, causing a problem. We are overrun with them.
I'm very glad that they have now become a protected species at last. It's because their population has more than halved in the last 15 years.
We feel that we pay enough taxes to the government and to our councils in rates, etc. They should be helping the contractor and the public to deal with the problem now.
Some of the local companies in Eastbourne particularly are hiring a pest control man who is picking up the babies and throwing them live into black bin liners, tying the bin liners up and throwing them onto a skip and leaving them there. That must take days for those little gulls to die, slowly of suffocation. I find that particularly abhorrent.
For us, it's costing us money. And obviously in today's climate, that's not good.
You start causing injury and harm to animals, it's a very, very slippery slope to causing injury and harm to human beings. Well, they'll probably go home and beat their wives.
About 18 months ago, Keith and I had this wonderful idea to buy some old property that became available in our road, with a view to building 2 new houses, only to find that there was a new requirement had come out that every old property needed to have a bat survey. And lo and behold, they found some drop-ins in the roof.
This is a very serious situation because all bats are declining and all bats are an endangered species. If builders were actually developing a property that I knew that had bats in it and they hadn't followed the law, then obviously the police would be contacted.
As a wildlife crime officer, my job is to investigate allegations of offences against wildlife. It could be allegations of cruelty or something that developers done. If I can show that this is a wildlife habitat, they need to down tools. And that's not a request, that is an order. We can make life, you know, quite unpleasant for these people while these investigations are ongoing.
We were then told we needed to carry out an emergent survey. We sat out with them and there was nothing.
The Bat Conservation Group are their own worst enemies. Instead of helping projects, they will drive us underground and we will not even bring it to light that these creatures are on the development.
Once evidence or a single bat has been found and work carries on, then it's £5,000 per bat. So if they killed 10 bats, it'd be £50,000 and possibly 6 months imprisonment.
I spoke to the ecologist.
Yeah.
I said, "You're going to give my husband a heart attack. What do you feel about that?" She said, "The bats come first."
There's no reason why bat roosts couldn't be built in the garden, say, because people living in houses like this won't want vermin living in their roof space.
If one ecologist isn't saying what they want them to say, they will simply go to another ecologist.
Bats will find their own roosting boxes. They always have through time, so why won't they now?
With 2 nice houses behind us and we can't sell them because of the bats.
We don't seem to be short of people wanting to look at the bungalows. What we are short of is people who want to live with bats. I believe the builders in the area make sure that they remove the evidence before they put their planning application in.
I'll tell you something that I shouldn't tell you, is that builders and developers will be ignoring all these protection things because of the expense involved, and we will just be removing the evidence from the sites and carrying on as if they never existed.
I would say that the police only hear of a fraction of the amount of crimes that actually take place.
They have to do studies for 6 months. Well, all the time the properties are sat here, nothing done on them, interest accruing. There must be a quicker, simpler method to do it.
We are now obligated to sell our own home. Financially, it's ruining us. We've come across a lady who has got a mobile home at the back of her bed and breakfast, and we're going to take that on week by week until such times as there may be out there a bat lover who wishes to buy our houses.
We need people to be prosecuted to set an example.
All of this for a few bat drop-ins and no bats.
If I could give one message to builders that are not following the letter of the law, trying to hide that they've got bats, is keep looking over your shoulder.